So, I played the new story for Wuthering Waves, and yeah, this was a lot better than the story that we got in 1.0. Kuro has addressed some of my biggest concerns with the writing choices that they had in the previous acts, and I am happy to report that they have taken a step in the right direction, especially in regards to the structure of the storytelling. The themes of self-sacrifice and stepping out of your comfort zone and into the unknown to find a better tomorrow resonates remarkably well with myself, and I honestly felt very emotional by the end of it. As a bonus, the visuals continue to be absolute eye candy, and the amount of work that they put into that department cannot be overstated. The music has definitely taken a step up. The moment where the action kicks it up a notch are made all the more engaging when the backing music hits just right, and I was an even bigger crybaby in the more emotional story beats. And to address the elephant in the room, yes, the mascot character isn't just another Paimon. They actually feel like a companion character who's very fun to listen to, and I actually wanted to see more of them pop up in the story. However, Kuro decided to keep their appearances restrained for this part of the story, which I honestly think was the right choice at the end of the day. There are still a few sticking points here and there. Admittedly, there are still times where the dialogue can get a little too wordy, and it starts to encroach on the yap territory back in 1.0, but those moments are a lot fewer and farther in between. So if you wanted a TLDR on how I felt about the story without any spoilers, there you go. But for those of you that have this video up in the background as random noise while you're doing other activities, I hope you all enjoy.
And starting this moment from now, from this moment on, this will be the moment.
The new act begins with a recap on the closing events of the previous chapter. You get a little more detail on the creature in your hand who is now finally named Abby, and honestly, when I first saw this thing appear back in the finale, I kinda wanted to kill it. Look, I'm not a big fan of cute mascot characters that are clearly being forced into the story because the devs just wanna sell plushy merchandise, and I was absolutely among one of the people who was concerned that Abby was just going to be a Paimon ripoff. And a part of me felt a little bit of dread going into this because Paimon was one of the biggest reasons why I never connected to Genshin Impact. It was kind of annoying how shrill her voice was and how much she constantly made the story pause and repeat and pause and repeat as she decides to pop out and just repeat everything that just happened 20 seconds ago as if I didn't just see what was going on. It felt really, really annoying. Luckily, the writers of the story made the right decisions when it came to Abby. They kept their appearances to a minimum, and whenever they do appear, it felt like it was a necessary part of the story, and it actually felt really fun seeing them interact with Rover. They're just this silly little guy who wants to eat food, which I know isn't very original, but it's still a really fun trait that Abby employs. The English VA wasn't all that bad either. It gives me adult female voice actor who's doing a prepubescent male child voice kind of a vibe, which may show my biases a little bit because I did grow up on shows like Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron and etc. and so forth. Overall, I would love to see more of Abby in the upcoming acts. There is still a lot of intrigue with the relationship between them and Rover, as Abby is also unaware of their own origins, as well as Rover's backstory. So there is still a lot of exploration that can be made, and I'm totally down to see where it goes. However, back to the actual story, Rover shows his concerns over Jinshi still remaining MIA, and when a conversation with Sanhua reveals that she's all the way up in a place called the Mount Firmament, he decides that he needs to go find her and see what's what. Sanhua informs him that he'll need a guide to help him get there, and our arrival at the meeting point introduces us to the character that was teased all the way back in the finale of the previous act.
Are you trapped here by the rain? No need for thanks. We're about to embark on a journey together, Rover.
I am no pervert.
I mean, come on. What can I say? So, Chang Li introduces herself and basically gives you the rundown on Mount Firmament and the situation that it's in. There is this time dilation effect that's keeping everyone in a suspended state of animation. Jinchi went off to find Jue because this is the kind of power that the dragon typically displays. And Changli actually shows that self-sacrifice theme that I mentioned earlier, because she explains that people would lose months, if not years, off of their lifespan when they enter Mount Firmament. Rover is, of course, unaffected by this phenomenon because of his main character status as the Chosen One, but she decides to take this burden anyway because otherwise Rover wouldn't be able to make heads or tails around the place at all without her at his side. So the two set off to the island, and I need you guys to hear this next segment because words really pale to describe how much I love it. Cinema. Absolute fucking cinema. This little interaction with Rover and Chang Li pretty much encapsulates the main thing that I love about this act of the storyline. You see, a big issue with 1.0 is that it feels like the writers are kind of trying to show you guys the world that they've made. They're throwing out all of these random terms like the tacit discord, the etheric sea, as well as the overclocking, and none of it really makes sense because we don't really care about those things. We don't have an emotional connection to these like random lore drops, but this little moment where Chang Li decides to sing a song to try and soothe Rover as he is having trouble on this boat ride over to Mount Firmament really attaches you to the character. It gives you a reason to care about her well-being, not just because she's like really fucking hot, but because she's a really nice person and you don't want her getting hurt. You don't want days and months and years of her life being taken off because of this little mission, but she does it anyway because she cares. She wants to make sure that Jinchi is okay, and Fuck, dude. I love that.
Eventually, the two of you make it to the city, and there you find people, animals, and tacit discords all frozen in time. It looks absolutely breathtaking, all things considered. The place is also teeming with the Fraxidus. It seems that they did have something to do with the disappearance of the Sentinel, though how exactly they did that still remains unclear. Changli notices a trail left behind by Jinshi, and the two of you follow it and find yourselves in a hidden bunker of sorts filled with survivors. Shinyi, the woman in charge, explains that the magistrate came here and used her power that is bestowed upon her by Jue to basically turn this place into a safe haven where the time anomaly isn't affecting anybody. She left for a nearby abandoned facility to retrieve a key to unlock the entrance to a place called the Mianlong Chamber where the Sentinel was last seen. The chamber is basically like this rejuvenation place where the Sentinel can go if it gets too injured. And this is where the Sentinel was actually last seen. Wanting to catch up, the two of you slink past the Fraxidus and head your way over. You guys reach the facility, and after getting inside, you handle the tacit discords that are in there, and after solving a few of the puzzles along the way, you find out the alarming news that Jue's injury is actually preventing any restoration of the timeline. While it still has the ability to reverse time and freeze it, allowing the flow of time to continue is now entirely out of its purview. The reason why it's in the Mianlong Chamber in the first place is that it's the only way to keep it from not dying, but it won't actually heal the wounds that are causing it to be unable to actually fix things. You then go deeper into the facility and actually find Jinshi fighting a few of the tacit discords. Changli and Jinshi talk, the latter of course being concerned for the former because of the aging problem. However, Changli tells Jinshi that she is going to stay by her side no matter what. It's a really sweet moment between both of them, and it's really nice seeing the character interact like this. Thumbs up, really. The three of you are able to locate the key, and as you guys are leaving for the healing chamber, this happens.
How rude. This is not how we greet people here. Allow me to demonstrate the proper etiquette.
The kids, what they say now, Paul? What they call what I do? They call this cinema.
Yeah, no matter how you feel about the story, Kuro makes amazing action scenes. You guys get to the healing chambers, and man, the visuals in this place is so cool. I fucking love that little frozen water area. Not frozen as in temperature frozen, but frozen in time. It's so cool seeing your characters running across from the water and just hearing the little pitter-patter of the water sound effects. I know it doesn't really make sense, you know, time is frozen, why would there be any splashing noises? That kind of implies that there's still free-flowing water, but you get it. It's cool. After doing some more puzzles, the game actually gives us backstory to Jinshi and Jue's relationship, as well as a more tangible showing of the danger that the tacit discords bring with them. I really wish we'd gotten more of this in 1.0, as it makes the story so much more personal and easy to fall into on an emotional level, you know what I mean? So, after her and her mother are attacked by the TDs in this flashback sequence, Jue comes in to save the day, but despite its best efforts, Jinji actually ends up dying in this moment, and it has to go through a lot of effort using its time powers to actually bring her back to life so that she can be its resonator. Then we're finally able to free the Sentinel, and we get a little more information on who the rover used to be, as Jue refers to us as the Lord Arbiter. Amazing title, by the way. Shout out to Halo. But, going back to what's going on, we do know that these two have to have an inevitable showdown. You see, the only way to resume the flow of time and to save everyone is for Jinchi to take the risk of overclocking by clashing with Jue and resonating with it, absorbing even more of its power and finally giving humans control over the fate as Jue decreed so long ago. However, Jue presents an alternative. Since the risk of their clash is so great, Jue actually wants to freeze all of Jinzhou so that sometime in the future, someone else might be able to find a safer solution to all the suffering they're under. Because of its ability to predict the future, it has basically determined that this is the safest path forward, to basically run away from the danger and let someone else handle it. But Jinji refuses such a thing, especially since it's a solution that is basically the equivalent of giving up and just hoping for the best. And I do have to say, I absolutely love how they framed Jue in this cutscenes. They really sell how grandiose and massive this dragon is by giving us these wide panning shots of its entire body. You know, it's not just still camera angles that you're shown. You actually get to see how much larger it is than you, and it really enhances the colossal scale of the Sentinel. And as we continue on and climb up to the summit of the mountain, we're shown these amazing flashback sequences showing even more of Jinchi's past. We actually get to see a little bit of her childhood, a little bit of her training, and we learn that her name was actually bestowed upon her by Jue as an honorific to Jinzhou itself. I absolutely love the amount of backstory that we're being given to her character. We eventually get to the peak and we get these amazing cutscenes in between the fighting sequences, and it just does an amazing job at showing off the battle. The back and forth between Jue and Jinchi is an absolute treat to behold, and as we defeat the dragon and we see Jinchi struggling to take on the power that Jue is giving to her, she begins to overclock and she is barely able to keep herself in one piece. This is how you do a cinematic.
The transfer has been carried out as you instructed. Jinchi, one shall honor one's promise and restore Jinzhou's future to you and its people.
After the dust settles on the climactic battle, both Jue and Jinchi are fine as everything went accordingly. We finally get to talk to Jue, and it's here that we learn that Rover was actually Jue's former master, and we actually had a hand in the creation of Jinzhou. This is as far as Jue is able to tell us, unfortunately, because its knowledge on us is actually a lot more limited than it would like. Abby makes one last appearance, and I love this little guy. They see a massive fuck-off dragon absolutely mogging them, and they're ready to square up for you. You know, I have only known Abby for a single day, but if anything were to happen to them, I am game-ending everyone in the room and then myself.
Anyway, that's pretty much the entire story. There is an epilogue afterwards, but it's mostly just going after everything we already experienced in the story so far, and it's set up for the next act, and I gotta say, the devs fucking cooked. I was absolutely blown away by the quality shift from 1.0 to 1.1. Originally, my plan for this video was just to make an early impressions of 1.1 as a whole, but honestly, I got so sucked into the story that I just finished the whole damn thing in a single go. The characters are such a joy to experience and learn about. The intrigue of what's going on with Jue and Jinchi pulled me in the whole way through, and I have to reiterate how much of a joy it is that Abby was not only not annoying, but was a pleasant part of the experience. I'm very happy about that. I give the story my glowing praises, and I am absolutely excited to see the next part of the storyline. And with that, I am going to be wrapping things up. My next video is going to be talking about my experience with the rest of the updates, so you guys keep your eyes peeled for that. Leave a like and a subscribe. I just reached 15 subs, and even though that's still not a lot, I'm still very happy to see the steady growth of this channel as the days go by. Thank you guys so much for listening to my yapping, and I hope you all take care of yourselves.